Welcome to this video. Below 1700 player this time, and okay, he chooses to play Benoni defense. Let's see if he plays e5 or some kind of gambit later on. Well, let's see. G6, e6. Okay. I want to play more positionally against him, so this is why I want to keep the pawn structure, like similar pawn structure, that I don't want like an exchange here, the e pawn against the c pawn. This would be more dynamic, but I don't want a dynamic game against him because I think I can outplay him positionally. So let's just develop our pieces, and I mean, okay, I want to make it more difficult for him to play b5. He will have problems at the moment to develop his bishop here on c8, so let's see how he will solve this problem. And he needs to decide where to put this bishop here. Is it g7 or e7? Let's see. My pieces are well coordinated. I can bishop e7. What I can try is to provoke him to play e5. What I also can do is taking here on e6. He needs to take back, and then trying to put a pressure here on d6. And if he plays e5, I have the wonderful square d5 for my knight. I think I will do this. So this pawn is attacked now. Let's see how he solves the problem. He might play knight f8 and knight g6, but this was exactly what I wanted to achieve. So now we can play against this nice square here. The diagonal here is also very nice. I think I just put the knight here on d2. There's no need for the knight on f3. It cannot jump anywhere because the pawn on e5 is well protected. The square d4, there's no juice. But I can put it to c4 later on. So I think this is a good defending move for e4, and also I find a better position for this knight. The bishop would be good on c4 maybe. Also eyeing here on the white squares, and you can see that the white squares are very vulnerable. And now they are even more vulnerable, I can already play bishop h5. So he is not able to castle anymore. So the white squares are very important here. Let's just retreat. I don't want to exchange pieces, so because this knight is not very good. It cannot jump too many squares, so it would just help black if I exchange here the bishop against the knight. And this bishop is also eyeing on h6, so yeah, black has problems to develop his kingside position. The pieces here, the rook, it's very hard for him. And if he doesn't exchange now, I think this is a good move. Why I don't know why he's thinking so long. So I mean, he needs to take here and then play knight f6 and hope for the best. But if he allows me to play bishop g6, this would be a huge problem for him. I can maybe even play a bishop f5 and e6 afterwards. So I mean, this should be a no-brainer. You have white weaknesses on the white squares, so you want to get rid of pieces of the opponent that can use these white squares. So it takes a long time. I hope he's not disconnected. Can we see it here somewhere? I don't know. Yeah, so okay, this is strange. This doesn't help him at all. So bishop g6 as said. Yeah, so he wants to play knight g4. I would like to put the knight here on c4 and maybe even e3 later on, so I need to retreat the bishop here to f2. So this is a multi-purpose move. I defend e4. It's not possible for him to play knight g4, and I can play bishop f2 after knight c4 to jump to e3 with a knight to have more control over d5. So he opens up the position even more. A knight on e6 would be very, very nice. So let's get rid of this defender, and now knight e4? Yeah, why not? So the queen, if he retreats the bishop here to this diagonal, it would be bad. I think it would be better for him to move the bishop to e6 or maybe f7 to get rid of this piece here. He cannot obviously exchange here, then I would have an open f-file, which would be very, very strong. On the other hand, if he doesn't do anything, I just play f4, and then I use the very, very poor position of black's king. So I think he almost needs to play bishop f7 here. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would just open up the position now. And then the rooks on the f-file will become strong as well. He cannot move the rook because the pawn on h5 is hanging. He needs to take care about here any forks. The white squares are still very weak, d5 especially. If he plays knight f6, knight g5 would be very annoying also for him. Square e6, d5, f7, they are all weak. Unfortunately, he might lose on time. Yeah, here as said, I just take on h5, and after okay, he well, yeah, there are so many options now. I don't want him to have a better square for this knight, so I could, well, I can just play knight g5. If he exchange, this I threaten g6. Ah, this looks deadly. Maybe he's quick enough that we find a mate here. He needs to take here now. Ah, it's a bit too slow, I think. Okay, so yeah, I will take now on g5 and then threaten g6. And if he plays knight f6 to protect the mate, I can can just stay put. Maybe put in the rooks here on the h rank, on the third rank as well. Yeah, he will lose on time now. Yeah, but okay, let's see. I think in this game you could see the importance of the white squares and or to play on specific colors. And the white squares of black were very weak all the time, and especially after black chooses to play h6. It's a terrible move because I mean, he already has the problems here with the white squares, so he needs to protect g6 at least. And after h6, yeah, he also lost the right to castle, and you could see that in the end this bishop became quite strong here, and all the white squares were weak. And yeah, it didn't take a long time until white could also invade on the white squares, and yeah, a knight here on d5 on e6 is very, very, very strong. So yeah, keep this in mind when you play a game. Thanks for watching.